Kamal, founder of Rasa Beauty, sharing her beautiful journey of how she rocked a healthy pregnancy in her 40s. But more importantly, how she used her intuition and motherly wisdom to buy 2 weeks of crucial womb time for her baby when her gynecologist pushed her for an emergency C section at week 36 and went on to deliver her baby in week 38. Even the thought about like being a mother, choosing to be pregnant, and all of those things are very conscious now. It's not like driven out of conditioning. So maybe we can even start from there, like the urge to become a mother, and then like the journey into conception, and so on and so forth. So pick wherever you want to start from, and yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So I got married pretty late, at 36 as per today's day and age. But abhi to normal ho gaya hai. But yeah, so I had decided that I'm going to get married for love, not for time or whatever. And of course, certain mistakes that you make in when you're younger with your health and being careless and stuff. Resulted in a certain kind of hormonal imbalances, and hence it was tougher to get pregnant naturally. So we opted for IVF, and we had a failed IVF cycle when I was 39, and then COVID hit. So we weren't able to do anything. And luckily, we had two embryos that were still stored from when I was 38. So we went in for IVF when I was 43. That was pretty late. So it was like, okay, let's take this chance. Nahi hoga, who knows? So anyway, I'm a great believer of Devi, and I strongly believe that nothing can happen without her approval, presence, or her role in it. Essentially.
Yeah.
So we visited Ma Kamakhya temple before we went in for our transfer. And then I chose full moon day to get the embryos transferred. It was just all very instinctively, I was just like, "Oh, that's the day I want to do it." And everything went smoothly. We stay in Dehradun, but my embryos were in Bombay. So we had to go to Mumbai to get the embryos transferred because we used to live in Mumbai before the pandemic hit. And then we just decided to change our life and not stay in the city anymore. That's it. It was done for us. So we flew to Bombay and we got the embryos transferred. And then it was just a waiting game since we already had one failed IVF transfer. Obviously, we were on nerves, but there was a certain sense of calm that I felt, which is unexplainable. So obviously, it was due to the blessings of Devi as well. And then within the great 14-day mark where we had to get the test done, and it was positive. So we were not elated. It was just a sigh of relief that, oh, thank God. We got pregnant, and we told our families, and obviously they were overjoyed, but I could see that they were also a bit cautious because of the previous failed pregnancy. But the pregnancy was great. Followed Ayurveda's advice. So I had an Ayurvedic nutritionist who was on board with me throughout the pregnancy because I wanted to make sure that if I'm choosing to bring a life into this world, I'm doing everything right by it. Not having Coca-Cola and pizza and ice cream just because people say sakte ho tum. And I just didn't want to do that very, very consciously. I was like, if I'm chosen to bring another soul into this world, I want to make sure that I'm giving it my best so that I don't falter in any way. So yeah, so the pregnancy was great. It was really, really smooth, touch wood, even though given my age and the complications that could have come about, we had no complications at all. I didn't even have edema, the normal swelling of the legs and stuff, water retention. I didn't even go through that. It was honestly, it was a divine pregnancy for me. And also because of the various Ayurvedic precautions that I took. I remember I ate white chola once. I was in my sixth month. And I ate white chana, right, for lunch. And I never used to eat rajma chana that much, thoda thoda. So like once every 15 days I would have something, So I felt like having, and then we went for our usual evening walk. Oh my God, I had the worst. Oh, I just purged everything out on my walk. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then by the time I got home, I had diarrhea. and I was
Oh wow.
vomiting.
Whoa.
And it was so scary. And my husband, I was like, I almost passed out in the middle. And my husband was freaking out because it's just me and my husband. We live alone. You know, our families don't live with us. So he was freaking out. And luckily, he called our Ayurvedic nutritionist. And she was like, okay, just hold on. Just don't relax. Nothing is going to happen to the baby. First of all, it's not in your stomach, you know. So keep that in mind. Nothing is going to happen. Just be calm. Just have some nimbu pani. Just let everything come out. Don't have any kind of medicine to stop anything at all. Whatever is coming out, let it come out because your body is rejecting it right now. So, and in the night, just have, if you feel like, have some plain rice with some ghee. That's it. No dahi, nothing heavy to have, right? You know? So that was like that one scary thing, but then it was fine. You know, I was fine the next morning and everything was okay. So the journey was great. I kept myself active. I used to go for walks every day. I used to do light yoga. Of course, my gynac was a very senior gynac in Dehradun, where we are. We got the most senior gynac, again, because of my age and because of an IVF pregnancy. So she was, I think she was more cautious than I was. And because of that, she instilled a little bit of fear in me, you know, which
Yeah.
I was like, why are you doing this? You know, like every time I come to you, you ask me, she used to ask me, are you sure of your age? I'm like, yes, I'm sure of my age. She's like, no. Why? I used to ask her, why do you ask me this question every time? She's like, no, because sab theek hai na. I'm like,
Treat it
okay.
as scare.
And how?
Instead of care, it was scare.
I know, you know, and I was like, yes, you know, she's like, oh, everything is fine and all of that. And because I was being negative, I had to keep doing the antigen to just to ensure that there's no issue, right? And then my baby, she was lying supine. Her head hadn't come down in the 35th or 36th week. But then, so at that time when she told me that, oh, you know, the head is not down. So, because I used to tell her, I want a normal pregnancy, I want a normal delivery as far as possible. She's like, Arey, girls younger than you want a cesarean, you want normal. I'm like, yes, I want normal, you know. So she's like, okay, dekha jayega, we'll see. So I has to be like, fine. So at that time, I think when I was around in my 5th or 6th month, I connected with Robin Lim because I had read her book. Yeah, about the forgotten chakra, you know, and I wanted to, you know, I wanted to have a lotus birth, but I knew it's not going to be possible in this system at all, which was like, you know, I wanted to have a complete lotus birth, but I know not only my doctor, my family would also freak out, like, ye pagal hai ladki. You totally, you know, keeping the placenta attached to the baby, they would have totally lost it. But yeah, I really wanted to do that, but I couldn't. And that was sad. So when I told her that that's what my gynac is telling me, she said, change your gynac. I was like, yeah, if only you knew. I really couldn't change my gynac because the gynacs I went to, apart from her, were worse. And also becoming a mother at 43, I didn't really want to take that risk. Also, you know, there was a certain kind of subconscious fear in me as well that what if I'm being silly and what if something happens, you know, who am I going to? And she used to tell me that every time when I used to go to meet her, she used to say, if anything happens, who are you going to blame?
Whoa.
You know, I was like, and my husband used to be, whenever he used to come back home, he used to be like, how can you let her talk to you like that? How can she say that? Like, how can she talk like that? You know? And I used to be like, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. And I used to be like, forget it. I don't want to think all these things. I just want the baby to be fine. You know, I don't want anything to be. And everything else, when we used to go for the scans and all of the weight, sab kuch theek hota tha. You know, the guy who used to do our scan, he was a really nice guy. You know, he was a young guy, and he was really nice. He used to give me more comfort than my gynac. It was so that. So coming to the scary part, right? So we did this antigen test, and it came positive. And then I went to her, and I was in my 36th week. Okay. She's telling me we have to operate right away. It was a Friday. Okay. So, and I had forgotten my medical file. So my husband had to come back home. Hospital is close to the house, and he had to come back home to get the medical file. You won't believe it, Sneha. I was sitting over there outside her clinic. There's Max Hospital in Doon, right? So it's pretty big. And I was literally in tears. I just called when he called me to check is everything okay. I literally like didn't want to cry because he was driving, but I literally burst out like, you know, you come fast because she's telling me that I need to operate now. And my in-laws were on their way. You know, they live, they don't live here. They live in North America, and they were on their way, and they were reaching like 2 days later. My mom and my sister and my brother, they were in Mumbai, and they were not scheduled to come for another 2 weeks, right? And then I asked her, I said, okay, can we do the marker test to see what the marker is. So she says, no, we cannot do anything. We have to operate right away. So you please prepare yourself for Monday. So I said, my family, why didn't your family? Your husband is here. So Monday is my OT day. You do it. It's like, what? Monday
Your
is your
OT
OT day,
day?
sir? I was like,
That's like saying it's my
okay.
cheat day and I'm gonna eat some ice cream today.
Yeah. And then she's like, now you go, you take this injection because, her lungs won't be developed, the baby's lungs won't be developed. So you take this injection so that she doesn't have. And I said, what is it? It's a steroid. I said, okay, fine. I didn't say anything in her room, I just walked out. I told my husband that, look, I don't care. I'm going to do the marker test. It's a weekend. We have Saturday, Sunday with us in hand. I'm going to do the marker test and I'm not going to take the steroid. It's simple. So then he is also like in two minds that, yeah, but like, obviously, when a doctor who has 35 years of experience is telling you this, it freaks you out, right? It's bound to freak you
Yeah.
out, especially when you're a first time mother, and you're 44 now. So it was like so freaky. I called my family and they were like, don't worry, we are taking the next flight and we are coming. So we'll be there and all, and then my in-laws were going to reach that weekend. So obviously they would be there, but they would have missed the birth per se. So then I did the marker. And guess what? The marker was 0.37. I still remember that report like it was 0.37. And then she calls me. I got to know the report later. She calls me and she says, Acha beta, marker to bahut low hai, so don't worry about the antigen, but we should still operate it. I'm like, if the marker is low, I don't need to worry about the antigen, then why should I operate? Immediately, no, I'm not going to do it. So then obviously I didn't operate the next week. And then she said, okay, fine, let's do a scan at the end of the 37th week and let's see. Okay, but by the time my family and all was here, okay. And then we did the scan and then she was still not head down, right? She was still supine. She was still lying on, I'm saying she, I didn't know that she was she before, but now I can say she. So she was still supine, So then she said, okay, now, she's still supine. Her head is not down. So this is not safe. And she had the cord around her neck. So this is not safe, which I read in so many places. That says normal. The umbilical cord is not going to strangulate your baby. And I told her, I said, why is the umbilical cord is not going to strangulate? But she said, how do you know? I'm like, Arey yaar, ye to ajeeb hai. How do I know? Then I said, okay, fine. I said, I want to hold. Once you deliver her, I don't want you to cut the umbilical cord, and I want to hold her. नहीं नहीं ये तो नहीं हो सकता. It's like okay. And I was like, okay, then I want you to deliver the placenta. Don't cut the placenta. Umbilical cord should stop. It हो जाना चाहिए. नहीं वो नहीं हो सकता बेटा. I can't do that because you are B negative. तुम्हारा सारा B negative blood ना baby के अंदर चला जाएगा. I'm like, huh? I'm like, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता है. It's not possible. That's the role of the placenta. They won't allow that to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, hey, Bhagwan. I was like, oh God. I was seriously, it was like when I'm literally like reliving it and I'm just going through the trauma that I went through at that time. I was like, okay, fine. I delayed it as much as I could. And then, my mother-in-law, my sister, my mom, and I, then we went to meet her again. And she said, देखो, I'm तो telling her that it's not safe. Though we should deliver the baby, कुछ भी हो सकता है. देखो, precious pregnancy है. She's talking like that. Obviously, everybody is freaked out.
Every pregnancy is precious, right? Like, what's precious?
Exactly. Because you're like older now, so now they don't call you geriatric because it sounds like an insult. So they call it precious baby.
Okay.
They just change the terminology.
Okay.
So anyway, she was destined to come that day, so it's fine. So then I said, okay, I can choose now when I want to deliver my baby because you're not going to listen to me. I don't have an option. I can't fly to anywhere else right now. So fine. I said, I will deliver her on a full moon day. That's what I choose. I'm going to deliver her. She's saying, why? I'm like, that's my choice. I want to do that. I'm going to do that. Okay, so this is the date I want. You want me to choose, right? So then I sat with myself. I thought, and I was like, okay, I spoke to her and I told her, I said, look, this is really going out of my control now. And the more I try to control it, the more stressed I'm going to get. And I don't want that stress to go to you. So this is what I'm choosing. And I'm just hoping that it's right for both of us. I just spoke with her and I just told her that. And I said, just be okay with it and just be fine. And, your lungs are going to be perfect and you are going to be perfect and everything is going to be great and everything is going to be smooth. And then I went in for my cesarean. And so she was born at the 38th week. As soon as the 38th week got over, she was born.
Okay.
Before that, I told her, I'm not going to give you my placenta. I want my placenta back. She's like, what kind of a request is this? I was like, she's like, I have never in my 35 years of life heard that somebody wants to take their placenta. I said, okay, no problem. But for you, my placenta is medical waste, right? She says, right. I said, so I want it. I want my medical waste. Okay. Okay, fine. So she said, okay, you go and speak to the administrator of this hospital. And if he allows you, you can take it. I said, okay, no problem. So I went to him. I said, look, I'm giving birth in your hospital. Nothing is going as per how I wanted, but I want to take my placenta. I don't want to give it to you as a hospital because you are going to dispose it. He says, yes, we are going to dispose it. I said, okay. So he made me sign a declaration. Again, like I told you, if the universe didn't want that to happen, it would not have happened. So that's what I believe.
Yeah.
So he made me sign a declaration. There were 6 people in that room who had come to see who is this woman who wants to take away her placenta. So I signed the paperwork and I said, okay. He's saying, okay. I said, when the placenta is delivered, my family will be waiting outside. You please bring it and you give it to them and they will keep it however I tell them to keep it. So I instructed my sister and my husband that, you need to put it in we took the dabba with the salt, with the rock salt and all that. I said, you need to put it in this dabba and you keep it and then we'll bury it later, and so because we'll bury it with respect. So they were like, okay, cool. So they did that. The hospital, once the placenta was delivered, they gave it to us and we got it. We did, we put it in salt and we got it back home. And then she was born. And everybody was expecting a boy because some astrologers had said कि लड़का ही होगा, लड़का ही होगा. So we were like, okay, लड़का ही होगा. Doesn't matter लड़का हो या लड़की. So she was born and I also had the hospital play music for me. I said, at least do something that I want. No? You're not allowing me to do anything. So they're like, okay, we'll do what you want. Okay. So I have this playlist of, just these chants that I play. And then I said, okay, I'm not going to now go and select ki yahi play karna chahiye. I said, I'm just going to let it play. Whatever has to play will play when she comes. And then when she came, it was Hanuman Chalisa that was playing. And she was born and was so beautiful. And then I heard her cry. And then obviously the pediatrician, she got me and she got her to me. And then I was because I was under spinal anesthesia. So I was like half, I don't know where I was, I was half in this world and half out of the world. And then I saw her and that's just a look I just cannot get out of my eyes ever. Those big eyes was just looking at me and crying, and her head was full of hair.
Wow.
Like thick hair. She had such thick hair. I mean, she's almost 2 and her hair is already mid back.
Okay.
She had beautiful
Whoa.
thick hair. And then I said,
Nice.
okay, so what is it? So this is how she tells me. This is so bad, Look, it's a girl. She opens the kapda that's covering her genital organs and she says, look, it's a girl. I said, you could have told me also, no? You don't have to do like this display, like, look, it's a girl. And then anyway, I gave her a kiss, I whispered whatever I wanted to whisper to her. And then obviously they took her and they had to tie me up and all of that. And, everybody was like waiting and they were all surprised because they were expecting a boy. And then out comes this beautiful girl. And so that was her birth story. And then we got her home and she was perfect. She had no issues. Her lungs were fine. Everything was just perfect, just absolutely no issue. It was like she was delivered by the divine herself. And then we waited for her umbilical cord to dry off because that's what they said, right? That once the umbilical cord dries off and falls off on its own, that's when you can bury the placenta. So till then, placenta kept in the fridge, it was stored, and I didn't eat the placenta because I don't know, I couldn't get myself to do that. I had some kind of mental block, I think, to do that, but maybe I should have, but I didn't do it. So then,
given that you also had a C-section, it might have given you a lot of energy.
I know, but anyway, I didn't do that. Maybe, I don't know. So anyway, we chose this nice day. And then we had this beautiful mogra pot that I had, that I was rearing for her. And we had decided that we would bury her placenta in that pot with the mogra.
Okay.
And so we got this beautiful ceramic pot, and we put the placenta, we lit a diya, we put some flowers inside, and we said a small prayer like, thank you for, taking care of her and bringing her into this world. And, now we're letting you go with deep respect and all. And then we buried the placenta, and we planted the mogra plant. And I cannot tell you that mogra plant is giving flowers now. Obviously, it's monsoon, right? Mogras don't flower very well in Dehradun. But that mogra plant is so divine. I wish I could send you some so you could. It's almost like it's growing in South India. It's so beautiful and so
Whoa.
strong. So beautiful. And she loves to eat the buds of that flower. She'll go and she'll
Okay.
just pick it and she'll eat it. So there's a connection there. And post pregnancy also, I made sure that I followed all of the Ayurvedic principles in terms of what to eat, in terms, just gourds and a lot of ghee and nothing that can cause gas to the baby and stuff. Even with the milk production, because of the cesarean, I had issues with milk production. Also because she was preterm, so I had issues with milk production. The gynaec literally pinched my nipples to say that, oh, it's the mother's fault if there's no milk.
Also, in the first couple of days, you're only producing colostrum. There's not going to be
Can
any
you
milk
believe
in
it?
there.
Can you believe a doctor telling you it's your fault when you're anyway stressed
Oh.
that you're not producing enough milk, and you're like, I was like, my husband, he's like, I wanted to slap her, man. What is she doing? How can she do that? Anyway, I couldn't really feed her the way I wanted to. And then obviously because of my family, I had to give her stupid dabba ka milk, which I was so much against. But within in the fourth month, I said, no, stop. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to supplement with the dabba milk. I'm going to give her cow's milk. Because my Ayurved said, can't get goat's milk, you go with desi cow. And we get good desi cow. I said, I'm going to give her cow's milk. Nothing is going to happen to her. But threw away this dabba, and then we started giving her cow's milk. I mean, we know the source. We knew how the guy rears the cows. We knew he takes care of them, So it wasn't coming from a big dairy. It was coming from a small little Goshala place. The guy was
Okay.
personally known. He comes to deliver the milk himself. So there's a personal equation. He knows it's for the baby. And the milk quality you can see with the malai and all of that. So then we put her on that. If I had to go back and say what I would change, I wouldn't listen to my gynaec. I would have said, no, I'm going to go into natural labor and I'm going to keep doing the scan. I'll do a scan every 3 days, but I'm not going to do what you're telling me. If now I had to go back and do it, I would do it. But at that time, the fear instilled was so much that it made me doubt my own intuition, which I would suggest to mothers that don't doubt your intuition, to be mothers. And if they sit with themselves and if something is coming intuitively to them, they shouldn't doubt it, because that's the universe
So
trying to send
true.
you a message.
Yeah.
Don't listen
I
to these
think
people
it's
who
from
for
the
whom
womb. I think it's the baby and the womb communicating to us. It's like
yeah,
our internal world.
absolutely. Because for these guys, whether it's the gynacs or whether it's the nurses or whether it's whoever, we're just another statistic, right?
Yeah.
Just another person who's come to deliver her baby. Oh, okay, I do that every day, maybe 4 a day, intuition, and go with your, then
Yeah.
it's not going to lie to you. But like I say, maybe that's the way she was meant to come. Maybe that was her journey to go through to come into the world, and not
Okay.
as per the chart. She's not like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
as
yeah.
per the Western doctors, and
It's not adjusted for Asian or Indian.
yeah, exactly.
The
I asked
trajectory
her, where
is
is
just
this
not
from?
adjusted.
American Medical Association. She said, no, Indian Medical Association. I said, they just copied their medical association's chart. So now she knows we have come only to give vaccine. We don't want your information. We don't want your advice. She was telling a 4-month-old child who had high fever for the mother to stop giving anything else and give almond milk from the store.
Whoa.
Kya bole?
It's not even fresh. There's a lot of preservatives in it, and why do you put that into your baby?
Forget that. Our almonds supposed to give you milk? No. It's, people are just, and the amount of glyphosate that's going into growing those almonds is secondary. They're not using Mamra Badam, they are using the cheap California almond
Yeah.
to make that milk. And God knows what all preservative and everything is. So 2 things if I would change is that, 1, I would not listen to my gynaec, not come under her pressure. And secondly, not give that dabba ka milk, Go with diluted cow's milk. Get a good Ayurved who you can have on your journey, who you trust, and who can guide you, because that's going to help you immensely in your recovery as well. I was producing
Development is one.
I used to feel so worried about it, So my husband would say, "Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Whatever you're producing is keeping her safe. Okay, so just
Yeah.
focus on that. Just focus that quality is good."
Okay.
And that's where even my Ayurved came in. He said, "Look, focus on the quality. If you're not producing much, it's okay. Substitute with cow's milk. But what you're producing should be of the most highest quality you can give. So make sure that what you intake is of the most highest
Huh.
quality, because then you will produce the most highest quality, and that is going to be good for her." So then I just focused on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah,
The
grace
day you
is a
chose,
huge.
the day you chose to go for your implantation was Devi's ovulation, like the full moon, and your moon
Yeah,
time. Like you kind of synced with Devi there.
I did it intuitively. I said, okay, so if I'm going to go on this journey, I'm going to take you with me. I'm not going alone.
Yeah.
You're going to walk with me through and through. And she was born in an Adhik Mas, which comes every 4 years. So she was born on the
Oh,
full moon of Adhik Mas.
okay.
It was just divine. And I think every pregnancy is divine. I
Is
just
it
need
similar
to.
to leap year, the
I
once in
think
4 year
so.
thing? Oh
It's
yeah,
Adhik.
Hindu calendar is all 28
Yes,
days. So
Mas,
we
which is
have a
the
leap
extra
month
month of
instead of a leap
Shravan.
day.
Exactly. So she was born in that leap month, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, and people say, it's if you're healthy, you can get pregnant at any age. If you're
Yeah.
if you're ovulating and your menstrual cycle is fine, then you can. We needed that extra grace because of whatever, unhealthy lifestyles in the past. But it's so important to also have a beautiful relationship with your spouse, to have
Mm-hmm.
a great pregnancy, because that is so much important. My
Yeah.
mother was like, "Oh my God, I don't even need to care or worry because he's taking such good care of you. मतलब you won't even feel कि तेरे माँ नहीं है तेरे पास सेवा करने के लिए." I was like, yeah, he's anyway doing more seva than you would have done, so it's okay. So
Also,
yeah,
like they are more in tune with the baby as well, right? Like
yeah.
if
And it makes
yeah,
and
if
helps them to bond so
yeah,
beautifully. It's so
yeah.
important. I think it's so
So
important.
you mentioned one real scary episode of nausea and diarrhea.
Yeah.
Like, did you
Not
have?
nausea. हाँ. No, nausea तो I hardly had, first of all.
Okay.
थोड़ा nausea I used to have, and there's this imli ka chutney that they get you to make in Ayurveda. It's called injipuli. I think I'm not sure if
Okay.
I'm saying it right. Injipuli. Very good if you have nausea. Just have every day, you won't have nausea.
Okay.
It's
Even
very
I didn't
good.
have any nausea at all. Like only couple of days of
I had
just
very
throwing up
light, but
anything I
I
ate.
love
But
that injipuli. I used to just love it. I used to make it, keep it, and I used to eat it whenever I felt. I had zero craving. The only thing I would crave is
okay.
maybe matar aloo, and my daughter loves matar. Peas. I used to only crave, like I used to make my husband eat matar aloo 2 or 3 times in a week.
Okay.
So yeah, so apart from that scary episode, yeah, nothing.
So, were your supplements, or did you take Ayurvedic supplements as well, like for iron and your calcium,
Well,
folates?
I took folic acid, because I
Okay.
didn't know about the Ayurvedic supplement for folic acid.
Huh.
And apart from that, no, I didn't take any supplements, because my Ayurveda just said that have a good nutritious food, have a lot of ghee, have these laddus, you don't need any supplementation unless you feel something is there. If you feel like you have low energy or whatever, then we can put you on supplements. But haldi doodh I used to take. I had saffron throughout my pregnancy every morning. I used to put it in the water in
Okay.
the night, and every morning I used to consume that saffron water. So I consumed it through my
Okay.
pregnancy. I had dry fruits through my pregnancy in the morning. First thing I used to have is badam and walnuts and fig, and so that kept my bowel movement fine. I had no issues of constipation. I didn't even have constipation post delivery
Okay.
because
Constipation
of.
is typically driven by the iron tablet. That's the culprit there.
Yeah, I did not have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
cooked the food in. When the doctor used to tell me iron supplement ले रहे हो, I used to say हाँ ले रहे हैं. I used to just make my tadka and the iron ka kadai for the dal and all. And that's how I was
Okay.
get roti was made in iron tawa, so the iron assimilation was happening normally. I used to tell हाँ मैं ले रही हूँ iron. हाँ, very good. सब markers ठीक है. So sometimes what to do. They don't. Otherwise, they are not going to understand. What you're going to say.
Yeah. So amla has folates, the natural folate.
Yeah.
If you might have had a lot of amla, like if you were eating sour food, like you might have eaten amla as well, I guess.
Yeah. I had amla ka achar and murabba, so I had I had the achars throughout. So everything, whatever I could do naturally, I did, and that really helped me. But I think it's very important that you have somebody on your journey with you, your nutritionist or someone you trust, and
Yeah.
not just trust the internet, because everybody's prakriti is different.
Hmm.
So what's mentioned on the internet might not suit your prakriti, and your prakriti can change every single day when you're pregnant, So
Yeah.
you need to have somebody who is who is tuned into your changing prakriti daily and can
Hmm.
help you adjust. Otherwise you can
Yeah.
go wrong.
Your vata
And
keeps increasing, like that too,
yeah,
exponentially throughout. Yeah.
and like I mentioned, I did not have any edema or anything, so I did not have any kind of kapha related heaviness or anything of that sort. And I was pretty agile and I was pretty active, but for someone else that might be the case. Someone might
Hmm.
get a lot of swelling and might need food that can help them to combat that. So I think having a nutritionist with you is, yeah, I would advise it. Somebody who you well trust on your journey right from the beginning. They also understand what you've been through. So when they recommend, they know what they're telling you. They understand the pattern.
Yeah. So, did you have any food allergies? Like, were there any food items that that you could take before that you had to stop eating?
No, nothing.
No, nice. Okay. There
Because
were
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because before trying to get pregnant, I had cleaned up my lifestyle a lot. A lot.
okay.
So 3-4 years prior to that, I had really cleaned my lifestyle up in terms of food, in terms of exercise, in terms of yoga, in terms of moving from a polluted city to a non-polluted place. So I think that really helped my journey. So that's, I think, important to balance yourself, to balance your body, and start understanding your body before you start trying to get pregnant, because you're taking the responsibility of another life. So first, let's be responsible about our own.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I did not face any issues, and that's because I was conscious about everything I consumed before and throughout.
When it came to this lifestyle cleanup, like, did your husband go through a detox as well?
Yeah, later than me, but he did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he
Because they
followed
say
my
like,
path.
yeah, the sperm quality also matters when it comes to like nausea and
Yeah,
everything related to pregnancy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, like the epigenetic factors that get passed on through the sperm. I think that also helped in you not having any the cliched morning sickness and stuff like that.
Most definitely.
And
Okay.
what I find really empowering in your journey is that, like, from 36 weeks, like, you could drag it out for another 2 weeks. Like, that's not something everyone gets to do. Like, especially when they say, oh, tomorrow C-section or C-section in the afternoon, like, they just have to go and, like, go to the OT straight, like, once they
Seriously,
have heard yeah, like, you
I
could,
just wish I
you
would have
had the
been stronger
courage
and
to actually,
I wish I would
and
have been
those two
stronger,
weeks in
dragged over
that,
another week.
yeah,
But
and
anyway,
those two
it's
weeks
meant to
is
be.
like really crucial, like, because there's a lot
Yes,
of brain development happening in that phase, and you could
exactly.
give that extra womb time for your child. Like, that's super
Yeah.
empowering to hear.
I think some way the way Touchwood, her brain is developed so well, and she's so intelligent. I tell you, Sneha, she's like every baby is intelligent. But
Yeah.
just watching them grow and just doing things on their own and figuring things out is like every day is like, wow, how did you even figure that out, man? It's so beautiful, just allowing them to be themselves instead of constantly, being like hovering over them. Somewhere I feel कि वो जो 2 हफ्ते नहीं रह पाई अंदर ना, वो फटाफट उसका डेवलप यूनिवर्स ने बोला, चलो इसको फटाफट
Yeah, probably
anyway.
like because you knew and you had also spoken to the baby, so she knew like what she had to do to
Yeah.
accelerate her development.
Yeah, another thing that I did through my pregnancy is there's this Garp Sanskar audio that is there by
Okay.
Balaji Tambe. I used to listen to it every day without fail.
Okay.
I used to go for my
Yeah.
walk and I used to listen to that. And that has mantras from the Rig Veda. And
Okay.
it has some very nice hymns and stuff. So I would recommend everybody to listen to that because it helps beyond our understanding. Now, I did not understand those mantras, but I used to listen to them almost. I don't think I skipped a day listening to that. And I used to talk to her every night. I used to read her books from the last trimester. I had these books I used to read to her, and talk to her, tell her how she's going to be. And, just when I used to just sit, I used to think and envision like, okay, how is the baby going to be? She's going to be strong. He's going to be whatever. Kind and compassionate and all of that. Obviously, those characteristics are only going to come into play later. But I think it's very important for us to make sure that we listen to the right things. We read the right things. Don't watch these scary movies or whatever on Netflix and all of that. Don't do binge watching. We watched a lot of martial arts, and it's like she has the soul of a martial artist in her right now. The way she climbs and all is like crazy. Like, hold on, man, you're gonna fall. You're like just 22 months old. Just be careful. So yeah, it definitely makes a difference. It definitely imprints. Creates an imprint on them, on their conscience.
Maybe we should drop a link for the Garbhasanskar playlist that you used to listen. And you bought that crucial 2 more weeks, right? Like you sort of had the support of the family, though they were scared. Like, how did you drag it out with the gynecologist? That I think is a key takeaway for a lot of them.
I think I just told her that I'm not ready, so I'm not going to do it, and this is the date I want.
Okay.
So she
So
said,
it's a
okay.
planned C-section anyway. So you
Yeah,
said,
yeah. I said, you have
okay.
given me the option of this week, right? In this week, I will choose this day. So I chose
Okay,
that day.
okay.
It was a Tuesday, and I said, that's it. That's what it's going to be. And she said, but on this day, the neonatal surgeon is not available. I said, okay, no problem. So I went to the neonatal surgeon. I said, it's not your OT day on that day, but I want you to be in the OT with me. So can you please? She said, okay. I said, okay, she's available now. So let's do it.
It's like the availability of care providers is what's deciding the time of your birth instead of the baby deciding where to come out. That's
Exactly.
really absurd.
It's exactly.
You don't have a group practice. Like, why is there just one neonatal surgeon? Why is there one gynec? Like, why don't you have a group practice? Like, I mean, it was really empowering to like. I'm still amazed that you could buy 2 more weeks in this system. And like that shows how much strength you and your baby had, and the support you had from your family through this.
And the grace, nothing without grace.
Yeah, the
What
grace.
does it? Yeah. Impossible
Thank
without
you
it.
so much for being a part
Thank
of
you,
this,
Sneha.
and I thoroughly enjoyed what you had to share.
I think it's amazing. I think it's just amazing what you're doing with a little baby in hand, but you still manage to post, and it's really amazing, ma'am. You continue your good work and empower more women to find their voice so that they can have more and more beautiful births, because I think that's what the universe needs, empowered births.
Yeah, it's like a two-way process. Like women have to find their voice, and gentle birth needs to be an accessible model of care. So we are trying to work on both these things.
I'm sure we'll get there.
Yes. Ask away, Mama.
Okay. Mama has to go now.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time out for doing this. Have a great
No,
day.
my pleasure. You too, Sneha. Bye.